Now let's speak the ordinary things. And by the close of yesterday, the prices at the pumps were just up the roofs. Let me just take you through some numbers from January. You'll see them on your screens very soon. And then it also puts some issues into perspective. Because, for example, this morning I had to park the car, take the trotro so that I'm able to save cost. So January to October. In January, petrol was being sold at 6 cedis, 50 pesos. 17 cedis, 99 pesos is the price now. Diesel, 23 cedis, 49 pesos. In January, it was 6 cedis, 80. Now let's go on. And the increase, you can see it. 11 cedis, 49 pesos. And for diesel, 16 cedis, 69. And you know, diesel, this was used in transporting many of the farm produce we have in Agbogloshi and the rest. A lot of diesel.
Not just the construction.
Construction, you know.
I went to create
now,
some of my rules.
The gallon difference since January, as well, we call it gallons, but each gallon contains 4.5 liters. And you can see the figure, the difference. For petrol, 51, 75 Ghana cedis. And we went to the station. So these are the components we're having as far as the price build-up is concerned. We have the energy debt recovery levy, road fund levy, energy fund levy, price stabilization and recovery levy, sanitation and pollution levy, energy sector recovery levy, special petroleum, and then also we have the boss margin, the fuel marking margin, marketers margin, dealers, retailers, operators margin. And all these are computer. You look at the UPPF that they tend to have. And the transporters are even complaining that they haven't had any increment since last May. We decided to speak to the boss of the associations for the OMCs. This is what he decided to tell us.
That's what we expect. Unless something drastically is done. Otherwise, we had to go with the same status quo. You see it's happening because obviously the OMCs have to recover their debts. And we are not in a pleasant situation at all. The dollar-cedi relationship are being measured almost every hour. It's happening. So obviously, once the commodity is purchased and you're not able to make purchase within a certain period, the value changes, constantly changing. So, and as a business people, we need to recover whatever costs that we put in. That's where we see the fluctuating prices on the. Our focus should not be or even on the pricing now. Our focus because we are stand the risk of not even getting the products. If we are not able to pay appropriately, we won't get the products. Our focus should be able to survive. Then we can look at other things. Because when we go out there to purchase, because there's differences in the cedi dollar relationship, we're able to give it, sustain that one. Obviously, the product will go to another place. It's the survival of the fittest. So once we acquire the products, then we can talk about other things. If you don't pay appropriately the price of getting the fuel, obviously another client will pick it. That's another country. So and that becomes a problem.
Mr. Ajimandria is the boss or the CEO for the Association of OMCs. And Mr. Kojo Nsafo-Apoku, if you were in the position of the OMCs, is that the same argument you told, knowing that people like me, I'm not in government, well, apart from Dr. Boaku and then Honorable, who use 400 and they are giving free coupons.
No.
Then,
no.
I've withdrawn the statement.
No.
I've withdrawn it. I've withdrawn it. I've withdrawn the statement. I've withdrawn
general misperception.
I've withdrawn the statement. Don't be laughing.
MPs are never giving free coupon. Okay. They are never giving free food. All those things.
Dr. Boaku too will come in. I didn't want you to. I will just say
just one thing.
Dr. Boaku is a camera.
No, he too is not giving free. It's okay.
And let me place this on record.
Yes, please.
From 2017 till now, ever since I joined government, I have never been given one coupon.
Okay,
okay, that's fine.
Please, I've withdrawn. I apologize to the two of you.
From 2017, I've been looking for coupons.
You have not been getting.
I don't get.
No. So I went to the markets. You know, I went to Agbogloshi. I went to all those places. Then we went to the Tudu lorry stations. And even the drivers can't move their cars because the passengers are not coming.
Well, it's
and that's
crazy.
the argument. If you were in the position of the OMCs, is that?
Well, look, the OMCs are in a hard place. You know, me and Mr. Jimendia, we've bantered at various sessions at MPA because, you know, I have a position when it comes to the OMCs. I think that sometimes they overprice. And in this market, some are overpricing as well. You look at Allied is doing diesel at 18.32. Guel is doing 23.49. They are all buying the same product with the same FX. So in this case, the top four are overpricing. It doesn't mean that there isn't an issue.
By about 5 cities.
Yes, they are overpriced number 5 cities.
So you buy from Allied? Is that what you're
Allied
saying?
is cheaper, yes. So
I'm asking you a question. So do you mean that you buy from Allied oil?
I buy from Goodness.
You buy from Goodness?
Goodness is cheaper than Allied.
You are here.
So what I'm saying to you is that I don't buy from the top four. I buy from, when I look for coupon, I find maybe I'll go
Are you
well.
sure?
Yes, I don't buy from. Right. Look, on my road, on the Dodua road, there's Goodness. That's where I buy.
Okay.
Now, let me make my point. The point is that, yes, they are in a hard place. This is not the conversation for the normal banter I normally have with them. What is happening is that we need forward pricing in the window. What it means is that when we are starting a window, in fuel, what you do is that you sell at the price you will buy to replace. You don't sell fuel at the price you bought it the last time. So I have to sell my product. They have to sell their product at the price, at the rate at which, if it finishes, they can go to the market and replace it.
Futuristic.
The future, yes. So that is futures market. But now what is going on is that the BDCs and the OMCs are not able to find a future price.
Why?
The forward price. Because it's erratic. Yeah. In 2 weeks ago, what happened was that when we started the window, they priced at a price, they had a forward price. That forward price, which was supposed to last for 2 weeks, we went past it by 2 days. Okay, so remember that within the window, they increased the price again. Okay, so the issue is that the government needs to find $400 million a month for the BDCs. It's a lot of dollars that the government alone. Bank of Ghana is saying that they can do 120 million. Okay, so the BDCs have to go to their banks to find the difference. The banks are not getting the FX because that's why they are also pricing around 14. Interbank Bank of Ghana is about 13 point something, but the banks are pricing commercial rate at 14.4. Some are doing 14.9. So when we look at that, it is now that there's a sort of stability this week. So hopefully in the coming week, when we're now able to ascertain what the forward pricing will be, then the BDCs are able to price well. But for me now is a problem because the prices at the pump might be inching up a bit if we are not able to secure a certain amount of forex for the BDCs, because the uncertainty every day, if we are not careful, we'll collapse that industry. Because every day for last week they were selling, they were making losses. Okay, and every day they make losses. That means it's wiping out their capital. And it's not their money. Bear in mind, it's the bank that gave them LCs, and the banks are also losing money and will end up collapsing the banks as well. And we've seen in the past that the oil industry has always been one of the main canker for collapsing banks, the BDC indebtedness and all that. So we need to be careful. It's unfortunate that me and you are being asked to pay the high prices. But we are pleading with government that the 400 million that the BDCs need, he should let Bank of Ghana at least do half. Okay, 120 out of 400 really is not a lot. So that is where the problem is. Until we are able to do that, we will, in the next coming window, my projection is that we might plateau. There won't be an increase, because the city is now seeing... You mean
we'll be maintaining the 23?
The 23 might be maintained within the next window. Then after that, we might see it coming down, when at that point we will have seen the real conversation. Because bear in mind, there was a conversation last week at the ministry between MPA, Ministry of Energy, Bank of Ghana, and the BDCs and the OMCs. It was inconclusive because at that point, nobody could tell what they can give them and at what rate. Or without the rate, it's difficult for the BDCs and OMCs to price well. So, like I said, one, there's overpricing in the market, so people should look for a cheaper source of fuel to buy. But overall, there are really FX pressures, which is causing. Today, if you're able to bring the FX back to, let's say, 10 or 11, all these price hikes will go down.
All right. Dr. Boakun of the Tano North constituency, and then also the economic management team advisory person. You are in a catch-22 situation. When you see us, I mean, journalists, media, we go around, go and talk to the operators, and they're saying, and all that. And then we know that these prices will keep increasing. What goes into your mind, one, within the corridors of government to ameliorate the problem? And then how do we intend doing that?
Well, Roland, it's a difficult time for any government at this moment. And I think for us on the policy side and in government, we are in the same situation just as any other person in the country. I buy fuel. Yesterday I bought fuel, and it's really hitting when you stand at the pumps and you say you want 500 cedis worth of fuel, and they finish so quick.
And you see that your gauge doesn't move.
You put on the starter and the gauge doesn't move. And then you say, oh my God. You calculate your steps.
I wonder whether you were really saved.
It's really difficult, I must admit. It's really difficult. And I think this is a time that all of us, government, everybody, we need to sympathize with ourselves and see how best we can push forward. I like the thing Kojo mentioned, the whole issue about pricing differentials across various OMCs. Goodness is selling below 18 cedis per liter.
Yeah.
Another one, Allied, is selling 18, and someone is also selling 23. The difference in the pricing is so huge, and that's why if you listen to conversations across the globe, yesterday I listened to President Biden complaining about great inflation in the U.S., and the United Nations General Secretary and other people had suggested that there should be tax on windfall tax on oil marketing oil marketing companies, because there's this general feeling that our colleagues or our friends...
You were saying they should reinvest it back into consumers.
So there's this whole thing about people profiteering from the system or the circumstances that the world finds itself in. And I think it's something that we need to conscientize and get it addressed. From government regulatory policy-wise, I mean, there's also a responsibility to make sure that, one, FS is available for the importers of the refined products so that people can have it cheaper. There's also this whole concept about forward price in the futures market and how best we can have some stability in the market so that those who are also importing can have some stable pricing window, so that they may not have to react to the daily changes in the forex. And that's quite key, and that's why the whole policies from Bank of Ghana and the Ministry of Finance to ensure that there is some stability in the exchange rate market is key, because whatever we do, so far as the exchange rate market becomes turbulent, it will affect prices at the pump, and that's also critical. And I'm happy that although we haven't had such steep reduction, just as we saw in the depreciation, there seems to be some stability on the exchange rate market. We are hoping that as we move ahead, we'll be able to have a more stable exchange rate market.
Dr. Baku, there's this refrain, and I have observed that you, those in government, you seem to be lamenting like us, the citizens. If you are lamenting like us,
Lamenting in what sense?
Because you know your core marketing, so you are saying you buy, so etc.
Oh yeah, of course.
What do we do to improve that? What are you doing to improve the situation as government?
It only comes from honest people, okay? That we, like the president said in his address, we are all honest people. I wouldn't come and sit here and pretend as if the kind of things you go through are different from mine. We are all humans, we are all Ghanaians, you go to the same market. And so if the pricing at the pump is not favorable to you, it's also not favorable to me. I will not come and sit here because of politics and create the impression that everything is okay, everybody should be fine. We all feel it. And it's the circumstances and the situation that we find ourselves in, like I said, is a global phenomenon, but we have our own domestic issues that we also have to deal with. And that is why pragmatically, government is putting in steps to make sure we address them. Sometimes some of the solutions may stagger a bit, but the good indication is that there is that kind of commitment and zeal from government side to make sure that realizing the problem, we need to address the issues. And that is why all these measures are being put in place. Of course, we are also looking up to ramp up some of these things with the IMF negotiations. It may not be the means to an end. It may not be the end in itself, but it's a means to an end. And so together with that and other policies that government will have to marshal, we should be able to get to the bottom of this. And like I said, we've seen some stability on the exchange rate market from last week coming to this week. We are hoping that it continues and even gets better. Once it gets better, like I just said, if the dollar rate, the cedi-dollar relationship is able to be stable, we will see reductions at the pump. But the other aspect of it that is behavioral is what Kojo was talking about, that the pricing differential ought not to happen. We all go to the same market. The same OMC go to the same market. So why should somebody be pricing at 70, another person pricing at 23? There's also some mess up there, and we need to address that. If we're able to do that, then it also means we're able to bring some aspect of the pricing down, whilst government also augment these efforts to make sure we have some stability.
Right.
Yes.
Transport. And I know your constituents are feeling it.
Yes.
And you are feeling it as well. Yes. But they don't even know.
They do.
They do?
They do.
Okay.
They do.
They think you're honorable, so...
No, you are honorable, but they appreciate the difficulties that you find yourself. Look, if you take the price of any petroleum products, particularly those from crude, the tax component alone is also excruciating. We have about 8 tax elements. We have energy debt recovery levy. Energy debt recovery levy. We are still being taxed to recover whatever losses we are experiencing in the energy sector. We have the road fund. We have energy fund levy. We have price stabilization and recovery levy. Now, my point is...
Sanitation.
Yeah, my point is prices are not stable. Why is government not using the revenue is generating from the price stabilization levy to cushion the people? It's not happening. We have sanitation and pollution levy. We have energy sector recovery levy, which is also different from the energy debt recovery levy. Then we have the special petroleum tax, and then we have the prime distribution margin. Now, if you look at this and you compare to the fact that some OMCs are able to sell at a level which is about 5 cedis higher than another, it's worrying.
Because the quality of oil is different.
No, we have a regulator.
It's not true.
Sorry?
I said the quality of product.
Yes.
He's supporting you.
No,
That is not true.
yes, no, because we have a regulator. The presumption is that no oil should be sold to the people that doesn't meet standards.
That's what the full marker is for.
Exactly.
The full marker is to check.
So to suggest that some quality is higher than others because of that it's sold at a higher premium, it's troubling for me. So the regulator must step in. That's one for me. 2, there's a lady called Doris Dokuya Sesu. She published on the 26th of October this year that between 19th of October 2020 and the 24th of October 2022, there's been 104 price changes.
104.
104. And then, Kwejo, if you consider that between the 24th of October and as of yesterday, there's been 4 more changes in pricing. So that makes it nearly 108 changes weekly, nearly weekly changes in pricing. And yet, if you look at the price of Brent on the world market, the stability is fairly around 93, 95. It oscillates. But the differentials are not that much. So again, the issue is about the depreciation of the cedi. It's the quality of the currency. Like it said, so far they've been trading every week, they've been trading at a loss just because of the depreciation. So government should, one, take away some of the tax components to be able to cushion the people, and two, the regulator NPA must crack the whip. I am not saying that they should introduce price control, but the plus or minus profit margin.
You're saying the difference should not be...
It should not be atrocious. Why
because it's affecting the ordinary citizen.
Of course.
Yeah.
5 cities difference is a lot.
Was alluding to.
5 cities difference.
I mean, there's only a lot government can do, right?
There's a lot government can do in this matter.
Oh, okay.
That's the point I'm saying.
It's a free market.
Look, it's a free market, but there must be a reasonable free market for people to play fairly.
Okay.
So, for instance, will it be fair for another to say I'm pricing at 10 cities? Okay. Would the association be happy?
All right.
Even though he's trading at a loss.
We're done. Dr. Buako, you didn't go to Washington, so I don't know whether some of these things. There's the concern that government is not telling the IMF what a real debt situation is. We're reporting below the line or above the line. That is one. Two, our minister, your minister of roads, arbitrarily decided to stop toll booth toll collection.
I think it was a government decision. It wasn't arbitrary. He didn't decide on it.
Just like that. It's a question. So if my question is wrong, fine.
Yeah, I mean,
and then, so I want to ask you, that when is it going to be restored? Will it be restored in the next budget to show up, knowing that? And then the IMF, what are we reporting right debt levels to them?
Yeah. So when people say government is not reporting,
you've heard that, right?
Yeah, I hear that. But all those are politics. I mean, accurate figures to the IMF.
Kwame Pieni also said that.
He was wrong. I get baffled.
You're saying Kwame Pieni is...
Oh, why? We're all humans. we can make mistakes. You understand? It's not an anglicized. Nobody knows it all. You understand? So it's not possible. And even if any such thing happens, the IMF will charge the country. Remember, we've been on this path before. In 2020, the previous government, President Rawlings's government, the IMF found Ghana to have misreported some figures to the IMF. When President Kufuor came to power, the IMF...
You're talking about the year 2000.
2000. Ghana was charged $42 million for that misreporting. So anytime any government presents data to the IMF that is not accurate, that government will be charged. Okay, so as we speak now, no such fault has been found. What is also important to note is that there are some data that the IMF and sovereign countries may not have to arrive at same figures. There are some data in the compilation. The IMF decides that, okay, for our records, we will include XYZ. Then the sovereign countries will also say, based on our regulations and our laws, for this particular data, this is what we have. And so some compromise can be reached that IMF say, okay, when you are reporting, report this and report that. For instance, in the computation of fiscal deficits, we compute fiscal deficits including discrepancies and fiscal deficits excluding discrepancies. The IMF agrees to that. And even in their case, sometimes they report all of that. There's no problem with that. And that is why even in the finance minister's budget presentation, anytime you look at the table, the fiscal tables, they will say including discrepancies, excluding discrepancies. That one is there. Now, for instance, when it comes to the debt, today, the IMF wants a debt portfolio, a debt figure, a debt stock computation, that includes the debt of some state-owned agencies. You understand? But all along, we don't, put across the debt of the country, including certain state-owned agencies.
On the national debt.
On the national debt. So these are discussions that both government and the IMF
What decision have you reached?
I may not be able to say with certainty, but I'm just giving you an indication that this is part of the discussion. It's just like when the above the line, below the line thing came, energy sector debt, whether we should include it or we shouldn't include it. The IMF said, okay, in our records, we will include that. In your records, if you don't include that, but report in the budget, including and excluding. So these things are done all the time.
So
but apart from that, if there's a general agreement on some data, and any government misreport, for instance, your inflation is 16% and you report 14%, you're in trouble. If your exchange rate depreciation is, let's say, 5%, you report 3%, the IMF will charge you for that. And as far as I'm concerned, so far, nothing like that has happened. The issue about TOB, it was a government decision. So government decided that looking at the whole toll booth architecture, the revenue that it brings vis-a-vis other constraints that it imposes on commuters and the citizens, we can do away with them. And not to justify anything, but to put this in perspective. Annually, we were told that the toll booth toll accrual was around 72 million Ghana cedis a year.
75.
That is how much government was realizing.
Is it going to be restored?
Well, for now, until government comes with a different communication, I may not be able to say, but I'm saying that government felt, just as in 2017, government abolished or reduced about 17 taxes, felt that there were taxes that were not earning so much, but became nuisance also. And government felt the toll thing was also nuisance. It was causing traffic at the booths, and people were not, and it also not equitable in terms of the taxation, of the levies, because I mean, it appears people who are living in the city centers were not paying, others were paying. So government said we can let it go and get revenue from other sources. 72 million, government in SMI felt we could do away with that. Government did away with that. If there's any decision by government to bring it back, it will be brought back. But until then, now we don't have any to system. Yeah.
Dr. Gideon Boako, very good friend of mine. He's a member of the Tano North constituency.
Why do you keep stressing on Tano North?
And then also government spokesperson on many relations or related matters of the economy, advisory, and then they've started discussions on the next budget already. It's not everything that he can tell us.
But his boss in the country is Dr. Bawumia in the country.
Oh, why not? He's going to the north today.
To do what? We need him here.
There's a Northern Development Authority, the Northern Development Authority. Government has been able to get some grant of about $100 million to complete.
But he should be speaking more on the economy.
Oh, he does, unless maybe you don't pay attention to him.
So this on to Kodak.
And then Kojo in Safwa Poku is an energy expert, but also vying for the flag bearership of the New Patriotic Party when the primaries are open. And Honorable.
Yeah, I'd like to take the opportunity and say good morning to all the KMP family around the Volta area, especially in South Dai, from where my brother is from. I know the South Dai people are watching. The Volta is looking good. I say good morning to them.
For you.
So you know how blessed we are. We are sitting close to a future
potential president.
And then also Roxy Nelson Dapamakpo is a member of parliament for South Dai, as a legal practitioner as well. And thank you very much. It's been an honor having you around. Great conversation this morning. And let's go through a couple of your messages. They'll be on the screen shortly. This one says, Roland, let it be established that that e-levy cannot by any stretch constitute a tax. At best, this is pickpocketing and or confiscation of personal savings and business capital. The failure of the e-levy has everything to do with citizens' rejection of obnoxious policies. Now, to somersault today that merchants are excluded is a reason for raking less than planned is simply shambolic, because it was made clear from conception that merchants and vendors were not going to be affected. The problem with Nanado's presidency is that any call from outside his inner circles is treated without merit. That's now let's go to the next one. Okay, so we have from Maxwell. Ghana economy is so skewed. Fuel is priced to the dollar, and yet most of the consumers are paid in cedis. The pain will never cease until the government is able to stabilize the forex. And that's from Maxwell. This is coming from Facebook. Mr. Hassan Ayariga, aka Ayarikov, has the best policy for the forex bureaus. I plead with the government to contact him. He will be very helpful. And that's from Edward, on behalf of Dr. Hassan Ayariga, aka Ayarikov. That was the last one. Make sure that you add the hashtag TV3 New Day to all conversations. Go search for us, TV3 Ghana. We're across social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Taking a break. We'll be right back.